what you thought you knew from the shed of dreams, the Leake in review.
Hey, welcome back to the program. Thanks for the shares, the loves, the likes. If you haven't already done so, continue to. It means the world to us over here. Today's a great show. You don't need to know who Darrin Pfeiffer from Goldfinger is to enjoy this program because the stories are wild. And I'll throw one thing out to start. He's had people eat desserts out of him, not off. You'll hear about that. Plus, is Jane's Addiction going to get back together? Will Goldfinger tour in 2026? Darrin Pfeiffer joins the Leake in Review in just a bit.
Where there's a heartbeat and a stage, there's an artist set to perform. This is the Leake in Review on tour.
Brought to you by the Pecan Agency, connecting the bands with fans worldwide. Garbage is going to be in Columbus on October 1st, Madison, Wisconsin on October 3rd. Catch Cage the Elephant on October 4 in San Antonio and Houston on October 6th. And Yukon Blonde hits Nanaimo, BC on October 16th, Cumberland, BC on the 17th. Darrin Pfeiffer joins us on the Leake in Review after this.
Hi, my name is Kim Stockwood. I am a proud Newfoundlander and a Canadian singer-songwriter. In a landscape where many lack access to health benefits or employee assistance programs, the Unison Fund serves as a lifeline of hope for musicians and music industry professionals facing medical emergencies or mental health challenges. To learn more about Unison and their programs, please visit unisonfund.ca.
I would have to say that this is one of the more anticipated programs that I've done in some time, and I've had a lot of great guests on the show. Darrin Pfeiffer is in the Shed of Dreams as we bring you this program from beautiful downtown Canada. Mr. Pfeiffer, visiting Canada for a camping trip, I believe?
Yeah, thank you for the wonderful introduction, Mr. Leake.
Very kind of me.
There you go. Now you're recording. We're professional here, by the way. Oh, and by the way, all your guests that you've had on the show, I'd be in the bottom third.
Well, it's. I guess it's like if you look at the bottom third as a golfer's score, if you're under par or you're over par. And I'm looking at the glass is half full in this situation. Darrin Pfeiffer, famously from the band Goldfinger from 92 to 2016. What was the range?
I left the band in 16, yeah.
Played with the Salads, been a manager, record label exec. Now
Sum 41 for a cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee with Sum 41. There's some great stories there.
Filled in with Billy Talent for a couple minutes.
And now working with what I believe has got to be one of the more rewarding things you can do, and that is you're providing royalties for bands in a music services company. Like you're cutting checks. That's a good thing.
Pretty much, yeah. I got a corporate job in LA with a company called Create Music, and it's 9 to 5, but it's remote and it's super chill. And my boss is my best friend, and I'm taking care of all the digital service providers like YouTube and Spotify and Pandora and Apple and all that good stuff, and making heads and tails of these reports that come in, and they can be pretty large. So doing that, make sure all the math lines up, send out money, and play with my dogs all day long. It's fun. Great job. And
playing with your dogs is not code for something. You actually have 2 dogs.
I have 2 dogs. No, there's no innuendo. I have 2 dogs, and I get to take breaks and go hang out with them in the backyard. And again, my boss is my buddy, and it's just a dream job. It's a great job.
And
work from home, obviously.
You were saying that in LA, you were not affected by the fires, but yet you were in a sense because you're constantly talking about the fires. You're constantly hearing about friends who were affected by the fires. And then there's people reaching out just because they care.
That was a bad and, well, good because people reached out and cared enough about me to ask me if I'm okay, but bad mostly because I lived there. I was far away from the fires, but the air quality was bad. The vibe in the city was bad. You knew that there were people that you knew, and I knew a lot of people that had lost homes that were suffering. The city was suffering. You turned on the news, it was all over the news, and it got worse before it got better. So for a period of time, it was depressing, a really depressing city to live in because it was burning to the ground. It was Terrible.
Didn't you step in and do something charity-wise to help animals that needed assistance, because of all the fires?
I did. We did a band I play in called August Madness. The August Madness. I did a show at the Mint, this beautiful venue in LA, and we partnered with the Pasadena Humane Society, and we raised $12,000 for their cause. And I got to go there and see what they do. And it's one of the larger humane societies in LA. And they were taking in dogs and cats by the dozens, and snakes and lizards and birds, and people were just running in, throwing the animal at them and then running out.
Right. I just can't deal with this
I
right now.
can't deal with this right now. And then, okay, thank you. And then they put them up, and then now people are coming back in and reclaiming their animals, and then they needed help. They needed anything to do with animals or kids, I'm all for.
So let's start off with day one. You grew up in Buffalo and started drumming in the basement of mom's house, or was that kind of the gig?
Well, I started drumming in my room, and it was actually a good thing because I was a troubled child. I got in a lot of trouble. Like I messed around a lot. And
like what kind of trouble? Were you throwing rocks through windows?
Yeah, rocks through windows, breaking into houses, stealing cars, shoplifting, typical.
Were you getting caught?
Yeah, every now and again I got caught. I got away with a lot too, but
did you do time at juvie?
No juvie, nothing like this. Slaps on the wrists, like, stern talking to, and you're going to make nothing of your life, Then when I got the drums.
Wait a minute. Was it just because you were bored? Like, were you bored in Buffalo? You just had nothing left to do?
No, I was pretty much Bart Simpson, growing up. I just wanted to mischief. And when I got into the drums, my mom and my family were thrilled. They were annoyed because of the initial learning to play them phase. But then I got good, and they're like, "Oh wow, Darrin, you're getting pretty good at this. Like, you're playing along to Led Zeppelin songs and Van Halen and Black Sabbath songs, and you're getting pretty good." But the key was, years later, my family told me, when you were playing your drums, we knew exactly where you were.
Right.
You weren't breaking into the neighbor's house. You weren't stealing a car. You weren't stealing a motorcycle or doing all this shit that you did.
Did your family think you were gonna it was going to end your life at some point? Like, it was just kind of spiraling?
Yeah, I think at some point they were like, this guy has no future. But then I started to get good at the drums and started to join bands, and they're like, oh, Darrin might actually have a passion here that could translate into something positive.
Do you remember what some of those first bands were, like some of the songs you were covering?
It was metal. I was into hard rock and metal and punk. So it was a metal. It was a band called Beyond Death in Buffalo, and Beyond Death had a little bit of a following, and then we broke up, and then I joined a hardcore band called Zero Tolerance, which made a little bit of noise. We were being courted by Victory Records at the time. We went on tour with Sick of It All and Shelter and Cro-Mags.
This is early 90s?
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. And even then I was like, I got to get out of this city because I loved Buffalo. I loved my friends, my family, the culture, but I needed to break out. And I didn't really like New York City too much because it's just gross. And
Fair.
I had a friend in Los Angeles said, Darrin, come out here. You'll find a band in 2 seconds. And I went out and I did. And turned out it was John Feldman, and he had a bunch of songs, and wasn't called Goldfinger, just John and some songs. And we built the band from there, and the rest is history. But yeah, Buffalo first, Los Angeles second.
And being a big sports fan, I know you like your Los Angeles Kings. You love your Buffalo Sabres. If it's coming down to the Stanley Cup final, who are you cheering for to win?
You got to go with your hometown team.
I agree.
Where you were born and where you were raised. So the Buffalo Sabres.
I just meant you got to go with the team that whatever town you're in at the time.
Your home, no, the born and raised city.
Okay.
Buffalo Sabres.
I had Buffalo Bills tickets for years, and friends would want to go down to the games, and then I said, there's one condition. You cannot wear the other team's jersey. You cannot wear another jersey from any other team in the league. In any other league, like, you couldn't show up at a Buffalo Bills game with a Dallas Mavericks jersey. I'd say, no, you can't do this, because at some point someone's going to throw piss at you. Like, it's
or a fist.
Yeah, like it just scales so fast in Buffalo. And I know the Buffalo fans, they're wonderful and they're having fun, but that was my one condition. Don't wear any other colors.
Now, you've been to more than a few Bills games, and I've been to a couple, and I've seen fistfights between Bills fans.
Yeah. I took one.
You're wearing the same colors. What are you doing?
I forget who it was who I was taking down to a game once, and they said, do you think we'll see anybody kicked out of today's game? I'm like, kicked out of today's game? It's not will we? It's how many.
How many?
We're walking in and they've already, the game has just started. We're not even in the stadium yet, but they've got a guy hogtied and they're carrying him off the property.
Hogtied.
Hogtied. Ankles tied to hands, to wrists, and the sheriffs are carrying this guy away. I'm like, there you go. Didn't even walk into the stadium and there's your first.
If anybody isn't aware, there's a thing called tailgating and people get annihilated.
They show up the day before.
1 o'clock kickoff.
They show up and start camping out the day before now. I mean, yeah, you know, good for Buffalo.
Generators, and you sleep out there and you wake up and then it's out Sunday all day. By the time 1 o'clock rolls around, for some of these folks, they're just blitzed beyond words. Then they stumbled into the game and then someone says something and, you know.
First of all, there was a whole bunch of like ex-Marines that were in our area. Once we befriended them, it was great because then we could just get them to deploy. So like go over there, take that. But there was a guy who dressed like he was in Braveheart, had the full face paint, and he did it Buffalo Bills colors. But he also wore a kilt to all the games. Didn't matter if it was 30 below or whatever. But that was part so he could sit in the stands and just piss because he had the kilt on and he would just pee while he was there and wouldn't miss any of the game. So kind of genius, kind of gross.
Yeah, a little bit of column A, column B there. Yeah. But then what about if you're sitting in front of him and you're like watching the game and all of a sudden liquid starts flowing? Like, what the hell's going on?
Well,
Someone spilled their beer? Well, it smells funny.
No, no one would ever. I saw this guy do it. He would sit down in his seat and he would just kind of adjust his kilt and pee into a cup. So he didn't do it
on the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
What's a gentleman?
He was very civilized.
Very civil. I will piss in public in front of everybody, including children, but I'll use a cup.
So it's early 90s. You meet John. You got Goldfinger. It's going. Was there already kind of a record deal kind of in the works for John?
No,
there was
just John and some songs, and he had a bass player, and then we got another guitar player who turned out to be Charlie Paulson, not the founding member. I'm a founding member, but yeah, he was one of the first four, and we didn't have a record deal. No, we didn't have a name. We wanted to dress up in suits because we liked the mod look. We liked the specials. We liked, we liked to jam. We wanted to look sharp.
And for you, it'd be Halloween because when else would you wear a suit?
So I would have a shirt and a tie and a nice hat, and we would play and we'd come up with names like what's a dapper, debonair name for a punk band? Like Goldfinger, James Bond. He always dresses nice in suits. So I'm like, okay, well, it's not a great name, but let's just keep it. And that's where it stuck. But the record deal came after playing a few shows, and this is 1993 or whatever it is, and the record industry then to now, night and day, 180 degrees. There were A&R teams of guys and gals that were going out to shows looking, and we found one of them. His name was Patrick McDowell, who worked with a guy named Jay Rifkin, who worked with a guy named Hans Zimmer. Jay was Hans' engineer. He did all of his mixes for him. Talented guy, audio guy. So he wanted to start, he had a lot of money, as you can imagine. So he wanted to start a record label called Mojo, which he did, which is attached to Universal. And then Patrick was his A&R guy, came to see us play, thought our songs were great, and they were.
Did you already have like a following that was happening in LA?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a following. We played almost every weekend, two, 3 times over the weekend, different venues. And it happened really quick, actually, about a year. Our first tour was with Ugly Kid Joe.
Wow. They had the biggest probably song in North America at the time. I Hate Everything About You.
Everything About You, yeah. Yeah, we did a snowboarding tour with them across Colorado, Utah, Idaho, and it was just great. It was so fun. And the venues were big, so we got to play in front of a lot. That was our first experience playing in front of a lot of people, opening up for Ugly Kid Joe, and then we got signed, and the rest, we wrote a song called Here in Your Bedroom, and that did really great, and K-Rock picked it up in LA, and The Edge picked it up in Toronto, and Canada was covered, and America was covered, and then it spilled into Europe and Asia, and then the rest is history. And it happened pretty quick, about a year. I'd say a year and a half at the most before we started, and we had a record deal.
What was the toughest part about being in Goldfinger? Was it the recording of the songs and then trying to make that be the live on stage, or was it how do we capture our live on stage because there's actual theatrics. We're a punk rock ska band. How do we get that into the studio?
Yeah, that's a good question. The challenge was how do we put the energy live, because we worship bands that put on a show. We like our heroes were Fishbone. Fishbone, if you ever seen Fishbone back in the day, it was just a circus. Now there's some members have left, and there's not a lot of original guys left in the band. But early on in the day, they were a freaking circus live, jumping around like crazy and going nuts. And we went to see Fishbone, and John was like, "We're going to be like that. We're going to put on a show." And so when it came time to record, it was difficult to try to bring that energy. And I think we tapped into it. I think the songs really spoke for themselves. They were, even still today, I listen to that record and I'm like, these are well-crafted songs.
It's funny because I was listening to some music just the other day and it's like, wow, this did not hold it together for the decades. Like it was good at the moment. It seemed like it was a big thing at the moment, but then you listen to the songs like, this doesn't stand out. It needs to be redone or rewritten or deleted or something. But you're right. With Goldfinger, those songs, you can put them on the radio today against whatever the hottest thing is. And it's like, oh yeah, this fits.
Yeah. And that's
30, 35 years later.
Yeah. And that's John Feldman. Like I could talk about John on both sides of the ledger, positive and negative. But when it comes to his songwriting, boy, oh boy, like the first time I heard his demos, I was just like, holy mother of God. This is exactly what I want to be doing.
And then you say you can talk about both sides of the ledger. You're in a relationship when you're in a band, like a real relationship. You're in a van, the first years you're in a van, and it's tough. You're basically adults with just enough money to survive, but are operating like you're zillionaires in some cases because you get treated like royalty. As soon as you walk into that next city, there's people throwing things your way, whatever you want. So the relationship in a band is probably like the second most important or third most important thing on that list. You got to write the songs. You got to be able to play the songs live. And now it's like, we got to live with each other for 23 hours a day or 24 hours a day.
Yeah. It's a challenge, and it can be. And some bands do great and get along and love each other and find the boundaries and don't cross them. The band that comes to mind is U2. I just read stories of that band loving each other, and there's arguments and disagreements, but for the most part, they keep it pretty tight. As far as like the genre that I'm in, like punk or whatever, ska, rock, the Deftones, that band, I've been backstage with that band many times after shows, and they're all hugging and high-fiving and listening to music and smoking weed and drinking wine and just hugging like they're best friends. I remember I saw them in Toronto at what is now the Budweiser stage, and I went backstage after their show, and maybe 10 minutes had gone by, and they were like, they already had music on, and they were high-fiving and hugging, and they saw me like, Darrin, come on in, you're part of our family. And I'm like, and they're like, and the band were the four guys sitting around a couch, like talking to each other. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
I think Deftones,
most bands, when they get off stage, one guy goes that way, the other guy goes that way, and one guy goes that way, and it's like, I'll see you on the bus.
Sure, it's like getting off shift at Pizza Hut. It's like you're just headed wherever you got to go that night, and you don't care about the other line cook who you're working with. But I think Deftones had it a little bit different. I think they had like a literal come to Jesus because a member had passed.
Is it okay if I open this?
Yeah, of course. Gorgeous.
Nothing.
But there was a death. And then there was, I think, a moment where they just said, no more booze. I think they still smoke and that, but because I think Chino was drinking like a bottle of vodka, in pretty rapid succession most nights and stuff like that.
Well, they were partying for sure when I hung with them. They were definitely having a good time.
I interviewed them once in LA, and we were in this hotel room, and half the band would be in for interview for one segment. Then they would switch out and the other guys would come in. I'm sitting in this hotel room and they are smoking dope. They're smoking so much pot, and I don't smoke pot. I was so paranoid when I left that interview and I went to the airport because they had all the dogs in the airport at LAX. I'm like, there's no way this dog cannot smell pot on me right now. I've just been with Deftones for 2 hours, basically hotboxing in a hotel room. And I was like getting all paranoid, and I thought,
and you were kind of contact high.
I was for sure.
A little bit.
For sure. Especially because if you don't do it, it's going to affect you in a different way. So I was like literally becoming paranoid walking through LAX because of the Deftones. But they're great guys.
But ultimately you were like, if they test me, it'll be negative, and I'll tell them what I do for a living, and I interview this band.
I was more worried that I was walking by these dogs that a dog was just going to bite my nuts. Like, I didn't know how drug dogs worked and, bomb sniffing dogs. I didn't know that they just kneeled down by wherever the drugs were or wherever they smelt. I just thought they were just going to bite my nuts.
It wasn't until you got on the plane and felt comfortable. The stewardess was like, "Sir, are you high?"
Yeah. I was like, no, I think I was at the point where it was like, until the wheels are up on this plane, I'm going to be a little bit paranoid that at any moment someone's going to walk in here and pull me off of this thing.
Let's go.
And it was right after 9/11 too. So because it was right after that, they had all kinds of Army Reserve and stuff as you're going up to LAX in checkpoints. Like, you had to show your ID, like handing it out of the cab as you're pulling into the airport. And then you go to another checkpoint and you would be doing it again. So then when you finally got into the airport, it was just the security and the police and the army and everything that was around. I was like,
that's a good story.
I was like,
Deftones.
Deftones. Remember that time the Deftones had
Almost
me
got
incarcerated
at LAX?
Yeah. Where's the rest of your dope? So you're going on tour. The band is taking off. You got to go back. Would you spend because I know the 90s were vastly different for recording than it is today. You spend 4 hours in a studio to cut an album. I know I'm making this up, but you spend a minimal amount of time in the studio today compared to what you did in the 90s. Would you in the 90s have a studio for a month just to record an album?
Yeah, it would be about a month. Luckily, it was, like I said, Hans Zimmer and Jay Rifkin. So they had a place called Media Ventures, which still is there in Santa Monica, California. It's a beautiful facility, as you can imagine, with a big live room.
All the shiny gear.
Everything you need, music, gear-wise, the drums are set up. Everything's just all set up. So we had access to that whenever we recorded, and it didn't cost us a nickel.
So that makes it a lot easier.
So we could, if we a week or a month, didn't matter. We got in and took our time. There was no time is money. There was no A&R guy going, "Come on, get the drums done, Darrin. Let's go. Chop, chop."
I know a story of a band who, and I'm not going to say their name, but they got $1 million deal to record an album, and they snorted it. They did all the drugs. They never did the album.
You'll have to tell me who that is off air. I want to know who that is.
I'm like,
because $1 million in drugs, that's a lot of drugs.
Yeah.
Well, there's also pizza and, some other things.
Pizza that you didn't even eat because you just thought you needed it, but you're high on drugs.
Yeah. That's crazy.
When did you feel that band Goldfinger, did everybody all of a sudden go, "Oh, wow, this is a real thing for us"? Outside of that Ugly Kid Joe tour and stuff.
It was that first record. It was the first single, Here in Your Bedroom, was blowing up and it wasn't just K-Rock and all the stations, modern and active rock stations in the US or The Edge in Toronto and everything else that followed suit in Canada. It was Mexico. It was Japan. It was all over Europe and, even in some African countries. We was playing all over the place. We were going all over the place. We didn't stop. I think we broke a Guinness World Record in that year, 95? We did 287 shows it's 387 shows in 365 days.
So who, of those 387 shows, there's someone in the band who felt it the most on a negative? Who was there someone who was like, I'm not doing this anymore?
No one complained. We were in our 20s. We felt no pain.
Were you guys partying a lot?
No, the two of the guys were sober. And me and the bass player who's from New Zealand, we drank beers and we didn't there wasn't any partying. There was other things. There were girls and there was parties but there was no drug use or anything like that. So that helped us maintain during that time. It was so crazy, Jeff. We were doing morning shows at a radio station like The Edge in Toronto, and then we do a matinee for the kids. So the all ages kids can get in, and then we do a third show in the same city at a different venue for the 21 and up.
Just nonstop.
We flew to Japan, and most bands, when you fly to Japan or someplace far away, Australia, you land and you get a day off to acclimate.
Yeah.
We didn't. We went right to the venue.
Straight on stage.
Tokyo, off the plane and right to the venue.
And as a result of that, probably never ever had jet lag because your body was just so used to moving.
Yeah.
Where were you when the Twinkie was eaten out of your ass?
I know exactly where it was. We did a college show in LA. I think it was Occidental College, which is in Echo Park somewhere. And we played a show and we were all starving. And me and the guitar player at the time, Brian, who replaced Charlie, were off stage eating a box of donuts. Started with a donut.
It always starts with a donut.
So we're eating a donut, like, oh, we're so hungry. The crowd's cheering and like, one more song. And the band's like, guys, let's do one more song. And Brian goes, I bet you we bring the box of donuts out.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, follow my lead. He goes, I bet you I can get someone to eat this donut out of their ass into the mic. And I go, what? He's like, who wants to eat the rest of this donut, this Boston cream donut, out of Darrin's ass? Then if someone does that, we'll play. And the hands went up. There was no shortage of takers. The first person to do it was a girl.
Okay.
Then we switched to that's got to be a guy. Because that makes the joke even more funny.
Yeah, because it's uncomfortable for you.
I took my pants down. He took the half of the Boston cream donut and shoved it in my cheek.
Yeah.
And the other half was sticking out. And then the girl went down there and got a hold of it and pulled it out and finished the donut.
Are you happy that there wasn't video of that today? Like there could be. Like if you did it today, it would be all over there.
I think it is video of it on YouTube. Not that particular donut incident at the college, but I think there's a few Twinkie videos out there.
So this became a thing that you started doing.
It became a thing for a couple of years.
Like how many donuts / Twinkies have been eaten out of your ass on stage live?
Probably 500.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, a lot.
I thought it just happened once.
No,
and that was it.
It happened quite a bit. And it was so just for
did you have to explain that to anybody?
Yeah, I did.
Like
so was it the Twinkies in your ass? Like, well, a Twinkie's like about 3 or 4 inches long.
Yeah.
So half of it is in my butt cheek.
Yeah.
And the other half is sticking out. And that's what the fan bites.
Right.
So then
there's no digging.
They're not. Well, one guy once dug. He went in there with his finger and went behind the Twinkie and pulled it out and put the whole thing in his mouth. So I reached back there afterwards and it's gone.
Right. Because
the whole thing's gone. And his face is like, oh, and I'm like, oh my God.
And this is after you've played already for
halfway through the show.
Right. So you've done 45 minutes of hammering the drums. There's probably a little bit of sweat. and then it's time for Twinkie.
Yeah, he did. He went for it. Yeah.
Did anybody in the management say, hey, that's fun. And I know it's punk and whatever, but we probably don't want to be doing this. Because couldn't you get charged for doing it in couldn't someone perceive it as some sort of live sex thing?
We never got confronted by management or label. We never got confronted by anybody at any venue anywhere. It was pretty organic and it lived on its own for a couple of years until I shut it down. Like, I'm like, let's do Twinkie. I'm like, no, let's do something else. They're like, well, like what? I go, anything. We've been doing this for fucking years. Like, let's do something new.
There's been a lot of tongue to butthole live on stage.
So that morphed into me walking out and John would play drums and they do some kind of vamp, some kind of song. And I go, how many people like, and I have a beer and I'm like, I want to drink a beer out of someone's shoe.
Okay.
I stepped up the grossness. So someone would throw their like disgusting Vans on stage and I would take the shoe and I'd pour the beer into the shoe and then I'd drink the entire beer out of the guy's shoe.
And in doing that, you also became so immune to so many diseases because you're drinking a beer out of someone's shoe that is vile.
Yes, my immune system is airtight.
Never been sick.
Never
been sick.
No.
So things wrap up with Goldfinger. You start working with other bands. You're playing with the Salads.
I moved to Canada in 2002.
For a lady.
I get on air at the Edge in 2003. And I'd heard the Salads' first record, Fold A to B, which had Get Loose on it and Roth Kung Fu. And I was just like enamored. I thought this band they were like the Canadian Goldfinger, but better. Like they were phenomenal musicians and they all were like great players. If you know anything about the Salads, you know that Chuck could play bass like a monster. Grant was a phenomenal drummer. Davey Z is like an Eddie Van Halen knockoff. And Darrin Mr. D could sing and put on a great show. So I started to work with them a little bit and work on songs that became their second record, The Big Picture. Bless you. And so I kind of got some producing credit on that record. And then the drummer left for some reason. He didn't like management, or he was just sick of it all and wanted to start a family. And I kind of slid in, and it was awesome.
Was that before you had a hot minute with Sum 41?
That came later. That came much later.
That was probably after. Did Steve leave Sum 41 at that time?
Steve-O left the band, and they had a guy named Frank Zumo. And he was busy for a little while. I couldn't do it. And I came in and did a whole series of shows with them. The first one was in Bogota, Colombia, of all places.
That's how big Sum 41 was. I mean, you sell a few million albums, and all of a sudden you can go to places that most members of the band cannot even finger on a map.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know where you are.
It was a festival, and there was some other band that went on after Sum 41, but there was 80,000 people. My first show with this band was in front of 80,000 people. It was crazy.
That's a nice way to start things off.
I only saw the first 20,000 because, the lights, you can't just see.
You can't see anything.
Yeah.
You ever have any complications with bands getting across borders and stuff like that? Like, I've heard of a great story of a band that was playing in Vancouver, and they were so worried about this band bringing over things over the border that they should not bring, guns, drugs, all that stuff, that the promoter sent clean buses, like Greyhound style buses. They said, you bring your ID and nothing else. Your bus stays behind. Did you have any problems like getting across borders with any bands?
No, it's funny you mentioned Vancouver, because the only time I ever had any problem at any border anywhere in the world was in Vancouver.
And then was that with?
Because I had some, like I said, I had some problems with the law in the past, like shoplifting and stealing a car, and I was a minor, but it was still on my record. The shoplifting was when I was 18. Actually, I got popped stealing a hockey jersey.
Was it a Wayne Gretzky hockey jersey?
No, it was actually a Boston Bruins jersey, and I don't know why I stole a Boston Bruins jersey. Maybe I was a fan of Cam Neely at the time. I don't know.
I bet you it was just because it was there.
It probably was. I was just a little kleptomaniac back then. But so the bus pulls over at the border in Vancouver, and a tour manager took the passports in. And your normal protocol was he'd come back out and go, "We're good to go. Let's go." We keep driving to the next city. In Vancouver, this one time, he's like, "Darrin, they want to talk to you." And the whole band looks at me like, "What'd you do?" I'm like, "Nothing." Like, when I was a kid, I had some things, but I'm like, "Okay, go in." So the guy was like, "So I see that you stole a car and you got caught shoplifting." And I go, "Wait, this is about that?" And he goes, "Yes, it is about that, sir." And I go, "Well, that was like 85,
right?
When I was in high school, like I was a kid."
Like probably 15
and now I'm like
years
26, 20. And I go, "That was like, 100 years ago?" And he's like, "Well, I just need to know, like, if you're going to be a threat to the Canadian people."
Right.
And I was like, I know, I'm not. He's like, "Well, how do I know you're not going to just go into Vancouver and start stealing things?" So I got my serious face. I wanted to go, "Are you fucking kidding, bro?" But I got my serious face, and I was like, "Sir, I'm in a professional band. We have a show, and then we're going to pack up, and we're going to get on a plane, and we're going to fly to Hawaii. And then we're going to fly to Japan. I do this for a living. I don't have time to steal things in anywhere I go. I have time to play and get back on the bus and sleep." And he goes, "Good enough for me." He stamps my passport.
Wow. Just nothing to do that day. Just bored.
How do I know you're not going to come into Vancouver and start stealing things?
Yeah. Well, you could say that to everybody crossing the border, whether they have priors or not. How do I know? Well, let's take it on my last 5 years. It's not going to happen. Was that when you were playing for MTV in Vancouver? Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Because that's when we first met.
It might have been. It might have been that time.
That's when we first met. That would have been like 2001, 2, somewhere in that.
It could have been that window. Time. That trip up.
I forget who was playing guitar with you at the time, but you both came into the studio and you brought along the makeup artist from MTV, and you introduced her to me as the fluffer. And she didn't know what that meant. I think she thought it was because her hair was kind of big and curly and that. So she kind of was, "Yeah, that's me," type of thing. And then we proceeded to just drink the rest of the evening and do the show on XFM back then.
Oh my God. Is there a video of it somewhere that exists?
There for sure is. I can remember that woman. Like, we took calls. She was just happy to be along with you guys. How that ends up happening where where you do a show halfway through the afternoon, you're on MTV, and then the makeup stylist ends up coming with you and doesn't understand what fluffer means?
Was it me or John that brought her in? Because
it was you and your guitarist at the time.
Probably Feldman, because it could have been John Feldman, because we always did the press, me and John.
Yeah.
The other two guys were terrible at press.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't John Feldman.
Oh,
it's definitely not John Feldman.
Okay, John must have been busy at the time doing something.
Yeah, and I think you were there for. I think we did about 3 hours of radio.
I think it was Charlie then, because he played guitar, and Charlie was quite the ladies' man.
Yeah.
So he was probably hooking up with that girl.
Well, and she was extremely attractive. It wasn't like it was a problem. And I just, thinking of it, how people throw stuff at you as a touring musician. It could be cash, it could be dinners, it could be all the drugs in the world.
Or all the ladies.
Or all the ladies.
Or the men, whatever you're into.
Yeah. And it's a one Twinkie at a time policy with Goldfinger. Will Goldfinger get back out on the road? And I'm asking you this, as that is the biggest trend right now. Legacy artists today who have shut things down. Oasis hasn't toured in over a decade. Now each Gallagher brothers stands to make about $100 million on this current tour. And you see more and more bands, they're actually gaining popularity back today. Like I was talking to Johnny Van Zant from Leonard Skinner. He's like,
awesome.
He was like, yeah, like the internet has kept this band alive, and now we're playing, we're still playing stadiums. It's ridiculous, type of thing. Is that something that is possible for Goldfinger, or are you like, nah, no way?
No, well, 2026 marks the 30-year anniversary of that record, that first record. And they're all four guys, original guys, are talking again.
And how long has it been since, how long did it take to get you guys together to talk again? Like, was it 5 years, 3 years, 4 years?
No, probably close, past 10. There was some time that went by where
you
one guy didn't like this guy, and then he came back in the fold, and then the bass player didn't want to talk to that guy, so then they started hanging out again. And then me and John sat down a few years back and just had a couple cups of coffee and just aired it all out.
It's kind of like what we started off with. Going into a band, there's three things. You got to be able to write the songs. You have to be able to play the songs live. Then you have to be able to live with each other. You're in a relationship, a long-term relationship.
Right.
If half of North America has gone through divorce, in their marriages, why wouldn't a band have a moment where they need to see others?
It's hard. It's hard being in a band. It's hard being in any relationship, really. It came down to me and John realizing, both of us, that nothing we did towards each other was that brutal or egregious.
It wasn't malice.
No one hit each other. No physical violence. No
Jane's addiction.
No girlfriend-wife thing.
Okay.
None of that. That you hear about that in rock and roll all the time. And no financial weirdness. No stealing of the money. The money was always on the up and up. It was just high school stuff.
Right.
This,
Just needed again.
He said he called me a this or he called me a that. I hate him. It's like, and he's like, Darrin, I fully agree. And I go, can we hug it out? He's like, yeah. So we hugged it out, and we text each other. We stay in touch. Me and Charlie have mended fences. Again, same thing. Like nothing that I can't look back now at my age in this phase of my life and go, I forgive you, and I don't even care anymore. I don't care what you said. I don't care what you did. I don't care.
Yeah, it's petty stuff. Get past it.
We created this body of music together over a span of many years, and we did a lot of good things and had a lot of success. Let's celebrate that. And they were like, I agree. So to answer your question, will it happen? If it does, it'll be in 2026, and I don't know what form it's going to take, but we're all talking.
Can we sign a petition?
Sure. GoFundMe. If the money's right, we'll GoFundMe. Get the four guys in Goldfinger back together.
Hey, before we depart, I know that you're friends with the guys. You're friends with all kinds of artists out there, but I know you're friends with the guys in Jane's Addiction. What is the story about what happened with Perry Farrell when he attacked Dave on stage, ending the tour? What happened there?
So there's a podcast, and I don't remember the name of the podcast or the guy who did it, but there's a 3-hour podcast that's out there. And the guy who is the host of the podcast with another gentleman was one of the crew guys for Jane's Addiction. He told the whole story from his perspective. So I feel like I'm okay to like cherry picked that.
Sure.
So for those who don't know, in Boston, they played a show and Perry got in Dave Navarro's face and took a swing at him.
Wait, we have to also set up. This is the beginning of Jane's Addiction's Back Together tour.
No, they had done some shows leading up to Boston.
But I'm saying
It was the beginning of the world tour.
yeah, it's early on.
Yeah. So Perry was drinking wine, according to the podcast.
Yeah.
He was the guy said if Perry wasn't drinking wine all day long with his wife and other people's friends, he was fine. He remembered the words. He remembered the timing. He was sharp. He was in key. He put on a good show. If Perry was drinking, you didn't know what Perry you were going to get.
Right.
He complained about his ears. He complained about his little keyboard thing. He complained about the drums being too loud. He complained about Navarro being too loud. So this day he lost it, went to Navarro and just started like swinging at him. And Navarro, to his credit, was like, what are you doing? And then Avery, Eric Avery, Sean Avery's a hockey player. Eric Avery came in and like clobbered him. It's on the video.
Yeah.
You can see it. The story on this podcast, the guy goes, it wasn't over on stage. The show was over. Everyone kind of spilled backstage and Perry actually connected with Navarro with a punch. Hit him.
So do you think there's an opportunity for Jane's to make good? Kind of like
no, it's
it
over.
is over.
It is fully
Did that,
they
did that
sued.
bankrupt the band because of the?
They sued. They're suing each other.
But would that bankrupt the band in a sense because you've put all this tour money that's out through your promoter, and that money's now gone? Like hundreds of thousands of dollars is gone.
Millions.
Yeah.
Because there's merch. There's VIP packages. Then there's the crew. They lost all that money. The bus companies lost that money. The merch companies lost that. There's a lot of money here. So the band got together and did a class action against Perry. Perry countered, saying, "Oh, you breach a contract," and it's a really ugly way for an amazing band to end. Just really, really sad.
Let's end this conversation with the good news is you have apparently made amends, you and your band, and maybe sometime in 2026, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the big debut for Goldfinger. Maybe that'll happen, and maybe we'll see some tour dates, and it'll be Bring Your Own Twinkie night.
And it'll be get in line. Darrin will sign your Twinkie. It'll be Goldfinger at that point, though. Like, we're definitely not kids anymore. We all have families, and it's we're not kids, so it's Goldfinger. As a matter of fact, I wanted to call one of our records Drop the G at one point.
I like that.
And it fell flat.
Maybe one day.
As a matter of fact, we have a record. I know you got
like
you
a
to
G
wrap
flat
it up.
or
We
a G
have
sharp?
a record that came out after our second record, right between our second and our third. It's a cover record.
99
all covers.
Red Balloons.
It's the Who, the Specials, Peter Tosh, all these covers. The Police, Buzzcocks, a bunch of The Cure. Anyway, it's called Darrin's Coconut Ass.
I forgot about that.
And it's a baby with coconuts on its ass because I have a hairy ass. Okay. Goldfinger wanted to call our second record, which is called Hang-Ups. John's Hang-Ups. That's what he called it. He had hang-ups with girls. And there's a phone and a cord and a noose, and it's all makes sense. They wanted to call the record while we were recording it. The second Goldfinger record, after our awesome first record, the label, the guy who won the label, Jay Rifkin, the A&R guy, the band, the management, we're going to call the record Darrin's Coconut Ass. I go, we're going to call it our second record. After a great debut, the second record, we're going to call it Darrin's Coconut. Your ass is so hairy, though. And I go, I get it, but we cannot call, I'll quit. I'll just quit. And they're like, you're not going to quit. I go, I'll fucking quit. Oh, fine. So they called it Hang-Ups. We recorded this record, this cover record in Omaha, Nebraska at a place called the Bronco Bowl, whatever. It's long gone. It's a bowling alley and a venue. And the guy comes backstage after we're all fighting with each other brutally that day. And he goes, yeah, I want to record you guys. I'm like, we're not in the mood to record. And he goes, no, the studio's 2 doors down. We're like, no, we're not going to get in a car. He's like, no, literally 2 doors down. We're like, we've been coming here for years. Here's a recording studio? He's like, follow me, guys. We walk down the bowling alley, 2 doors, opens the door, and it's this glorious studio. One room, but with isolation booths for amps. Drums are mic'd up. Everything's bass mic'd up. Guitar's mic'd up. Everything's mic'd up. He's like, I want to record you guys free of charge. I'll give you the hard drive, free of charge. We were like, we don't have any more originals right now. And John goes, we got a bunch of covers. He goes, done, let's do it. We recorded from midnight till 6 a.m.
And banged out a dozen songs?
At the end, we did like 7 or 8 songs. At the end of that session, as a band, we were best friends. We were tired, but we were like in love with each other again. And the guy, true to his word, handed the hard drive and goes, just give me credit.
Awesome.
So it's called Darrin's Coconut Ass Live from Omaha.
And that's where we got, is that where 99 Red Balloons came from?
No, 99 was on the next record.
Right.
Yeah. So we get to the label. I'll wrap the story up really quick, but this has got a good ending. Like we need to call the record something. Band meeting at the label. Bunch of execs, marketing people. We need to call the record something. And I go, I got a great idea. Let's call it Everything's Covered. On the front of the record will be white handkerchiefs covering something. You don't know what it is. It'll be like a photo shoot thing. On the back of the record, the handkerchiefs are gone and it's little block letters explaining the name of the band and the song with little lights on them. And they're like, Darrin, you came up with that? I go, yeah. They're like, that's amazing. And I go, thank you. Can we do it? And they're like, no, we're calling it Darrin's Coconut Ass. It's set in stone. And the whole room erupted. They're like, and they're pointing at me like, you idiot. And I'm like,
nice proposal.
And I'm literally doing this. I'm like, this is something from that movie Scanners. Like my head's going to explode. Like what the actual fuck? And they're like, we got you, didn't we? Like, we're calling it Darrin's Coconut. And they showed me the artwork. Like, what do you think of this? I go, can we not approve this as a band? And they're all like, we already did. I go, do I have a say? They're like, nope. And I gave up. I go, okay. And they're, yeah.
Darrin Pfeiffer.
Darrin's Coconut Ass.
Find his coconut ass anywhere you have the internet. Follow him on the Instagram. What's your Instagram?
At Darrin Pfeiffer on Instagram. And I'm on the Facebook and find me. And I usually reply to about 90% of messages.
And feel free to take him as a +1 to any LA Kings games that you have.
Yes. Thank you. Or the Rams, or the Clippers, or the Lakers.
Not the Chargers.
No.
Screw
Chargers.
those guys.
No bueno.
Now forget everything that you thought you knew from the shadow.